Hello everyone, we are in Group 1 in Social Science Philosophy and we are tasked to report about the Otto Neurath, the scientific world and conception.
So, who is Otto Neurath? Otto Neurath was an Australian-born philosopher of science, sociologist, and political economist. He was also the inventor of the isotype method of pictorial statistics and innovator in the museum practice. So, isotype or international system of typographic picture education was a method for assembling, configuring, and disseminating information and statistics through pictorial means. Its initiator, Otto Neurath, described it as a language-like technique characterized by consistency in the use of wrapping elements.
Do you know scientific world conception? Well, I have something to share to you. The scientific world conception knows no unsolvable riddle. Clarification of the traditional philosophical problems leads us to unmask them as pseudo-problems, and partly to transform them into the empirical problems, and thereby subject them to the judgment of the experimental science. The test of philosophical work lies in these clarifications of problems and assertions, not in the propounding of special philosophical pronouncement. The method of this clarification is that of logical analysis. Russell says that it has gradually crept into philosophy through the critical scrutiny of mathematics it represents. I believe the same kind of advance as was introduced into the physics by Galileo, the substitution of piecemeal, detailed, and verifiable results of large, untested generalities recommended only by a certain appeal of imagination. According to Manifesto, the scientific world conception knows only empirical statements about things of all kinds, an analytic statement of logic and mathematics. In rejecting over metaphysics and the concealed variety of patriotism, all adherents of the scientific world conceptions are at one.
The 1929 Moritz Lex received a tempting call to Bonn. On 15 to 16 September 1929, the Ernest Mass Society with the Society for Empirical Philosophy will hold a conference in Prague on the epistemology of the exact sciences in conjunction with the conference of the German Physical Society and the German Association of Mathematicians, which will take place there at the same time. Besides, technical questions of principles are to be discussed. It was decided that on the occasion of this conference, the present pamphlet on the Vienna Circle of the Scientific Conceptions of the World was to be published.
It is to be handed to Stick in October 1929 when he returns from his visiting professorship at Stanford University, California. As token of gratitude and joy at his remaining in Vienna. The second part of the pamphlets contains a bibliography compiled in the collaboration with those concerned. It is to give a survey of the area of problems in which those who belong to or are near to the Vienna Circle are working.
Vienna Circle of the Scientific Conception of the World. Vienna Circle of Logical Empiricism was a group of philosophers and scientists drawn from the natural and social sciences, logic, and mathematics who met regularly from 1924 to 1936 at the University of Vienna. Many assert that metaphysical and theologizing thought is again on the increase today, not only in life but also in science. In this general phenomenon, or merely a change restricted to certain circles? The assertion itself is easily confirmed if one looks at the topics of university courses and at the titles of philosophic publications. But likewise, the opposite spirit of enlightenment and anti-metaphysical factual research is growing stronger today, in that it is becoming conscious of its existence and task. In some circles, the mode of thought grounded in experience and averse to speculation is stronger than ever, being strengthened precisely by the new opposition that has arisen. I reconsidered this issue by shifting the focus from philosophy of science as theory of philosophy of science as practice. From this perspective, I take as a starting point the Vina Circle scientific world conception and emphasize its practical nature. I reinterpret its tenets as a set of recommendations that express the particular epistemological attitude in which both the Vina Circle's philosophy of science and its political engagements were rooted. Regarding politics, and referring a new primary sources, I reconstruct how the scientific world conception placed the Vina Circle within a neoliberal socialist political network that pursued concrete political aims. In light of my reconstruction, I shall argue that neither the Vina Circle's alleged ethical non-cognitivism nor its alleged addition to the Weberian deal of a value-free science rolls out of possibility of ascribing to the Vina Circle a political engaged philosophy of science. The case of the Vina Circle shows how philosophy of science as a public activity can itself become a form of political engagement even without necessarily entailing a theory of objective values.
Vina was especially suitable ground of this development is historically understandable. In the second half of the 19th century, liberalism was long the dominant political current. Its world of ideas stems from the Enlightenment, from empiricism, utilitarianism, and the free trade movement of England. In Venice, liberal movements scholars of world renown occupied leading positions. That's all. Thank you and God bless.